more foreign investments in Latin America, and how Chinese investments are reshaping Latin America's economy. Stay tuned for the full episode to check out more information on this episode.
Welcome to the Latin Wealth Podcast, a podcast dedicated to educating the Latino community about entrepreneurship, investing, and business.
What's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday. Hopefully, you guys are blessed and doing well. Welcome to the Latin Wealth Podcast. We got some great episodes, got some great topics that we're going to be diving into today. And stay till the end because we have a list of 40 jobs that are safe and not safe from AI. All right, this was a research study done by Microsoft. So we're going to be diving into that at the end of the episode. But before we get into the foreign investments in Latin America and all that, my God, Jeremiah, how you feeling? How you doing, bro?
Feeling inspired and feeling ready to go provide this information, man. This has been a blessing. So yeah, let's get it.
Let's get it. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna share my screen and we're gonna be diving into some information real quick. Let me know if you can see that, bro.
Yeah, you're good.
Cool. So we're gonna be diving into some foreign investments in Latin America. So look, critical mineral and AI related technology could drive foreign direct investments in the future of Latin America. Foreign direct investment rose in 2024, but experts warn a potential of a slowdown in 2025. All right, the regions, and when I mention FDI, I'm referring to foreign direct investments. So the region's foreign direct investments, or FDI, largely comes from existing transnational firms reinvesting their capital back into Latin America, which could signal low interest from new investors. All right, so this is what experts are saying. Just a couple key points, and then we're gonna take a look at this um, graph here. In 2024, the US was the top FDI source at 38% for Latin America, followed by Europe, 15%, and regional Latin American investors was at 12%. So investors in Latin America basically investing within each other. And then China represented 2%. Okay, so a slowdown could indicate investor hesitation or shifting global economic conditions. The dependency on existing companies rather than new investors may reveal deeper structural challenges in attracting capital. All right, so I know that was a mouthful there, but I want to blow this picture up and definitely want to get Jeremiah's thoughts and opinion, man. When you seen this, what were you thinking? And yeah, what are your thoughts?
Well, when you look at how much foreign money is actually coming in, and I think what's crazy is I think maybe about 3 or 4 months ago, we talked about Brazil and Mexico. Do you remember that episode?
Hmm.
But we talked about Brazil and Mexico, and we had this conversation. And I believe, I mean, with a massive amount of foreign money that's coming in, the culture and the morals, the actual metrics, and the expectations of that foreign country starts to get weighed onto the country that's that the money's coming into. So
Hmm.
much more than if you're let's so if almost 50% of the money coming into your inflows are foreign,
Hmm.
that says that some other country or some other continent is telling your country how to run, right? Because those
Hmm.
ex those corporations, the entities, the people that are in these other countries, they're not even the same culture. They may not even speak the same language. And
Hmm.
so a lot of the things that you and your people there in the country are experiencing, they're not experiencing. And so the goals and the priorities that you guys have, those are not going to be the same goals and priorities for them. Their goals is bottom line is to make money. That's one of the things that I noticed. I don't know about you, Chris,
Yeah.
but that was kind of like some of the things that I saw. I also noticed that Colombia, you have some countries that are more that are, the opposite direction, right? You got countries that are completely focused on them themselves and the exportation. Now, what's
Hmm.
crazy is And Chris, in your opinion, you see Brazil is a positive, right? They got a lot
Hmm.
more money coming in from foreign investments versus Argentina has money dropped off.
Hmm.
The question is, do you think that Argentina's president, right, with him and the meme coin and the things that,
100%
maybe some of his
uncertainties,
financial
uncertainties.
decisions,
Yeah.
do you think
Yeah.
that
People,
had
people,
a huh?
hundred, not to, sorry to cut you off, but
No, go ahead.
I love what you're saying because people that are coming in, investors, I should say, that are coming in from
Yes.
different countries, they're coming in as business-minded individuals, right? And so if
Yeah.
they're looking at Argentina and you got my guy that has meme coins and got the chainsaw and all that, they're like, I don't know if I want to, put my eggs in that basket necessarily, right? We can go to Brazil
Right.
right next door, Peru, that's doing phenomenal things and invest with them.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more of a
Yeah.
safer bet. So yeah, I think that's the thing that people have to keep in mind is people from other country, they're coming in with a business mindset. They're coming in to make a profit, right? Not necessarily, it's not their culture, so they're not going to look at the people the same way that you look at your community, right? They're just looking
Sure.
at pure profit. So I can definitely agree with you on that. In regards to this chart, I want to take a look at,
Bukele,
right?
El Salvador,
Yep. Yep. Yep.
they're doing. You start to see that interest raising. Puerto Rico, though, man, I feel like
Yeah.
they dropped off. I don't know if you see that, but go ahead. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, no, no. You good. So, what I was gonna say is, first off, with this chart basically represents, or the colors on the chart represent the percentage change from 2023 to
Right.
2024, right?
Right.
So overall, you can see the region's total was an increase by 7% from 2023 to 2024. And most of the countries seen an increase. But as we stated, countries like Argentina, um, Uruguay, Ecuador, Colombia, these countries regressed. Argentina regressed 53%,
That's
which is
crazy.
crazy.
That's crazy.
But like you said, Mexico, Central America, the Caribbean's seen a big increase.
Yeah. And I mean to the overall contribution of, Latin America and what it means to do what's and what. I remember we sat and we said, hey, we'll see in like 6 or 7 months if Brazil or Argentina's structure was correct, right? Because we said Brazil was spending a ton of money. They had a ton of outflows at that time. And this
Hmm.
was before the election. And we were like, we'll see who actually has the best model. And it looks like Brazil actually has the best model because what they've done is invested in things that's attractive, and they haven't tied themselves to being stuck on a business model that doesn't appeal on the international stage. Shouts out to Peru. Whatever they're doing, it's
Hmm.
working phenomenally because
Yeah, yeah.
they're like killing it. By the
Killing
way,
it, killing it.
yeah,
And so, speaking about killing it, the two sectors that are expected to drive growth for Latin America is going to be metals and minerals. That's one
yeah,
sector, and then
yeah.
AI and communication infrastructures, right? So, speaking about Chile, Argentina, Peru, and Brazil, they hold critical reserve of lithium, copper,
Yeah.
graphite, and rare earth metals, right? And this is something that's very attractive for countries, for many different countries, right? And then also AI and communication infrastructures, which we spoke about a lot. Technologies like cloud storage, data centers, broadband networks are attracting investments, in places like Mexico and Brazil, and then also Colombia and Chile are starting to see it increase as well in those sectors.
You got to also look at the stability of your banking system or the financial system.
Yeah.
um, how how violent. Although Brazil, which is maybe the oddity, right? But Brazil is the biggest country in South America, and so you kind of actually forced to do business with them, population wise, size wise, right? You're gonna have to do business with them if you want to stay stable in South America. But look at the financial setting or the financial stability of the countries, and that
Mm.
almost, as I look at it, that almost determines how much business other people come and do business with them. Because I bet 2 or 3 years ago, you didn't see a positive inflow of foreign money into El Salvador,
Mm.
right? Like
Yeah,
you didn't
for
see
sure.
that. Now
No.
across the board, you're seeing almost 17%. I mean, it's a collective, but you're probably seeing, 12, 13% of gain in El Salvador of foreign money coming in. So I think that as you start to see strong leadership, you begin to see people that understand that the leaders have a business mindset and they're not just there to extort or use the people in the country,
Mm,
right? And then you start to see people be more interested in bringing money in. Right now, the international play for investing is a lot more attractive even than US, although
hmm.
NASDAQ and S&P are like seeing some all-time highs and stuff like that within the past month, within July. But the first 6 months of the year, we were negative. And
Yeah,
so you see a lot more people looking to invest foreign. And this, why not do it right here in the same hemisphere?
100%. One other thing I wanted to hit on is it's interesting that you still got all this grayed out countries right here,
Yeah,
Venezuela, Guyana, Puerto Rico. You got all these little islands here as well that
yeah,
are grayed out, and they kind of just
yeah.
grouped them into 38%, which is the rest of the region. So it's interesting that they did that.
It's almost 40% of the rest of the region. So there's still a big play at hand.
But we
And
don't know if it's positive or negative because it's
no, no,
grayed out.
I mean it's not accounted for. You can't just like Puerto Rico's votes is unaccounted for.
Yeah, yeah,
So if we talk about Venezuela, I mean their leadership and their structure with the communism, that just doesn't
hmm
allow for, you know, a lot of investments. And in the other countries, which Guyana and those other places,
hmm
I think their structure, the poverty level and things like that. Those are just things that maybe if they
Okay,
can try to
makes sense.
focus on. It's not appealing, right? They don't have a financial structure. They don't have the actual structure. They're second to third world countries.
Mm.
So that's where we're at.
Yeah, that's definitely where we're at. And it's interesting in this article, it mentioned that, let me see if I can go back. Basically, that they're saying that, there could be a slowing down in 2025 with countries investing in Latin America, but one country that's definitely flipping that trend, and that has nothing to do with them, is China. With billions of dollars pouring into Latin America in ways that go beyond just capital and money. China invested $14.7 billion dollars in 2024 to help reshape Latin America's economy. And then they also plan on investing $9 billion dollars more in new credit lines announced in 2025 that they're going to continue to invest in. So, again, these numbers, it's going to be very interesting to see next year when they come out with this graph for 2025, what these numbers look like and whatnot. It'd be interesting to see how South America shapes up. But like I said, China has a $9 billion new credit line announced for 2025, specifically for Latin America.
I mean, that's what we spoke on, right? We talked about China not being afraid to invest. We saw them wanting to invest around the Panama Canal. That
Hmm.
was the beginning stages, and they've had their hands. They've obviously invest into a large portion of Africa. There's been a large amount of default. I mean, that's people talk about them and saying they're maniacal and stuff like that, but I mean, America does the same thing. And I just
Hmm.
believe China has actually just been more structured, more focused on actually taking over and having their hands in every piece of business. And where America states that, South America is a dangerous place that you can't invest money, blah, 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 right? China's like, yeah, but we will.
Mm.
Um, and they're willing to give those credit lines. They're willing to extend that amount of money. They're willing to extend that leverage to the countries to help them grow. And then they get vertically integrated into the country's economic system
Mm.
because they gave them that money. So a piece of them giving the money and the credit lines to these countries is there has to be a certain allowance for Chinese citizens to come in, there's a certain allowance for Chinese
Yeah,
businesses to come in
yeah,
because China owns its business, right? It actually owns the
true.
businesses. And so they have to allow them. So essentially, when you let those businesses in, you're allowing the Chinese government in. And that's, I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is, and it's
It's
interesting
good
because
business.
now it's not only do they own the businesses, but like they can produce anything.
Anything.
Anything. It's funny because I was watching a video of a guy that has like a clothing line in the Bay Area, and he went to the Chinese factories. Like he's getting shoes created and all types of stuff. And he wanted to understand like how things are really made and produced at a high level. And he was like, bro, whatever fabric, material, like whatever you want, they can create it there. And there's just they can do things at a higher level that you just can't do in California or in the States in general.
And that's because of the price of actual business itself.
Yeah.
Remember when we talked about a couple episodes back, we talked about the development of countries and we talked about how pre 2000, but right there 2000 to like 2003, we shipped out all of our actual
Hmm.
manufacturing, right? We shipped that stuff out. And so with that being done, what we ended up doing is pushing out or pushing the money into China, into India, and building up their
Hmm.
middle class and making it to where their stability or right there in their innovation and stuff basically came from us shipping those
Hmm.
jobs out and outsourcing those jobs. So that's where a lot of that stuff is. And that's why they learned about the textures. They learned about our sales process. They studied us. And so
Hmm.
they know, hey, I need to have this type of business, this type of texture of fabric. And it's right because a lot of America or American businesses, they're going to want to buy this. They're going to want to purchase this.
Hmm.
Bro, you can't tell the difference between knockoff stuff and real
Oh
stuff.
no, that's like a whole nother thing right now that's just unbelievable.
Crazy, right?
It's unbelievable. It really is crazy. And they position themselves in a way where we almost have to go to them,
Exactly. Exactly.
right? Like the individual I was mentioning that makes the sneakers overseas. I mean, you try to make that in California, he's gonna have to charge $1,000 for a pair, you know? Like,
Was that the FC guy, FC Bay Area, the SIA, the SIA?
nah, he has a smaller brand. He has a smaller brand.
Okay. I was
But
I thought it was
I
the guy. He's from New York originally, but he makes
okay.
shoes and
I know who you're
he's
talking
out.
about.
He's
I know who you're talking about. I know
okay,
who you're
not
talking
him.
about.
Okay.
But we also, I don't know if you've seen, but EY, shout out to EYL. They were out there
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
were like, "Yo, you got to just bypass the middleman, go to the source, right?" And they were
Yeah.
going to these different places and how to furnish your home for a lot cheaper by just going
Yeah.
directly to them.
Yeah. You just got to worry about the only problem now is obviously you got to worry about the tariffs.
Tariffs, yeah.
Um, well, and they've gotten around that too because they talked about how they're starting to put factories and stuff in Taiwan and Vietnam, in Thailand,
Saint
and what
Saint
they're doing.
Lucia, there is a
Yeah,
video that came out on my page, but I forgot to send it to you. There's a Chinese factory that is building additional factories specifically for luggages in St. Lucia. If I'm not mistaken, it was St. Lucia or Aruba, one of the two,
yeah, yeah. That
to
and that's super.
bypass that.
Yeah, it's super smart of them, and that's the smartest thing to do. South America. There's no massive tariffs on South America. If I go and set up a huge amount of factories in Brazil that's got plenty of land, if I go and set up factories in Brazil, cheap, manufacturing, then I can avoid the tariffs. And it's still a Chinese, right? It's still a
Mhm.
Chinese company, it's still a Chinese manufacturing, but now it's coming from Brazil.
Yeah. Yeah, when I seen that video, I was tripping out. And I mean,
Yeah,
like, why not? Go go live on the island. You know, America probably not going to be messing around with the smaller islands.
sure.
As far as like tariffs and whatnot, they set up
Exactly.
their manufacturing plant there and they produce luxury luggages that they
Yeah.
sell. That was,
This
but you
is
mentioned something interesting, man. You mentioned jobs,
yes.
and I didn't send you this because I like to get your kind of raw reaction on some of these things. So Microsoft
Yeah.
reveals 40 jobs. Now, this is the headline for this article. Microsoft didn't write this title. Microsoft reveals 40 jobs about to be destroyed by AI. Is your career on the list? All right. So a Microsoft research paper has listed out 40 professions it believes are most at risk with the rise of AI, as well as 40 professions that should be safe, at least for now. All right. So I wanted to bring this up, and we don't have to go through every single one of the professions, but we can go through a couple just to look at, keep our people educated, and so what's going on in the landscape, right? So 20 top 40 jobs using AI applications. the most. So you got number one, interpreters and translators. You got historians. You got writers and authors on the list. You got ticket agents and travel clerks, telephone operators, right?
Yeah,
Telemarketers. So
yeah.
these are mathematicians, right? Technical writers, editors, public relations specialists, data scientists, web developers. Definitely
Mm.
see that. Switchboard operators, market research and analysis, right? So very interesting list. Again, these are the top 40 jobs that are most likely going to be highly affected by AI.
Shouts out to EYL because I actually saw it. I
Hmm.
wasn't, I didn't know you were going to bring, but I actually posted it on my story because I thought it was super interesting. And I see a lot of things that people, number 17 right there, mathematicians. My sister's actually a mathematician, which, yeah, that's
Hmm.
definitely going to get replaced.
For sure. Yeah.
Um, the hosts and hostesses, I don't know about that one. There's some things that you just still want to, right? So maybe something, I don't know. Some of these are
But
questionable.
is this I'm wondering how is this like, yo, if I go to a restaurant and I'm ordering off a like how does that work? An iPad or
Yeah, but
something?
that's what I'm saying. Some of them are like, okay, so like they count host and hostess in that. It's not fully accurate because like I went to Wendy's the other day, right? Telling on myself. I don't eat
Hmm.
bad food all the time, but this I did that day. I go to Wendy's. At the Wendy's, there's an actual AI, like it's AI on the order. It's ordering with AI. Like there's not someone there talking to me to order. Like it's
Hmm.
an actual AI
Oh,
system
I
there.
see what you're
It
saying. I
hears
see what you're
me,
saying.
it takes the orders, and then it does the order, right? And so stuff like that is I think a piece of it of what they're counting. The machines that you set on your table where you pay,
Hmm.
and maybe
Hmm.
those will take your order, they'll talk to you or something like that. But like there's some things you still want to host or hostess. Like you still want to like, oh, I guess they could have a robot for like a bartender and stuff.
I
But
was gonna say, I get that, but at some point, as of right now,
yeah,
you need a human in there some way
a
to
hundred
put
percent,
the
a
plate
hundred
on the
percent,
robot for the robot to bring you the
a
food,
hundred percent,
you
a
know?
100%. Some of
Um,
these
yeah.
and a lot of these things, let's be honest, you should have been thinking about this as technology, even before AI. Like as technology was growing and it was elevating,
Hmm.
you had to know that eventually you will become obsolete. So you should have been starting to work on, getting yourself when they announced Chat GPT, man, I literally started sitting there and thinking, I'm like, okay, I need to make sure that I have additional skill sets more than even what I do because quantum computing is coming, right? And maybe they'll just go to
Hmm.
Chat GPT for their stock needs, for their investments. So you have to start thinking about how can I create and solidify value in myself? How do I continuously provide value to people?
100%. 100%. Yep, that's good. That's real good. And so, I'm gonna go down to top 40 jobs
Models,
using AI applications the least. So
dredge
you can consider.
operators.
Yeah, so you got I was like, I don't even know what a dredge operator is. I had to look this thing up, man, real quick to see what it
Somebody
was.
making ditches.
Right. You
Water,
seen that?
yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, these are, and we'll definitely leave this in the link down below so you guys can check it out. But you have a dredge operator, you have uh floor sanders and finishers, so people like jobs that are really
Trades.
using your
It's
job, maids and housekeeping cleaners,
freaking trades,
roof
man. That's really what
trades,
you see.
exactly.
A massive
Exactly.
amount of trades.
That's what it is. That's what it is. 100%. Dishwashers. This may not, I mean, look, I think at this point this will come off of here.
All of it I don't think is super. Highway maintenance workers, like, you know,
Very specific.
medical equipment preparers, that could go as well. And as you start to get closer to number 40, it means they're more likely to be replaced.
Hmm.
The phlebotomist, I don't know about that, man, because you still got to find the vein. I
Mm-hmm.
don't I don't know about that one.
Nursing assistant.
Embalmers, that's weird. That
What
would
is
be
this?
weird. Bro, that's the people that put the stuff inside of dead bodies.
Gotcha. Yeah, we'll leave that one alone.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Now
Ship engineers,
the other question I had is this is employment. So is this I'm not sure exactly what these numbers are. Are these like the average
that's the
numbers
number of
of
people. That's the number of people that's actually in the profession.
yeah, that makes
Uh,
sense.
yeah.
Mm.
You see roofers as
Believe
135,000, 140 companies
I
in
can
that
see how much these
profession.
people make. 33 to 72? I thought it'd be a lot more than this.
A, a dredge operator?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're not making a bunch of money.
interesting. Cool. So, look, we wanted to bring this up, and we're going to leave this in the description of this podcast episode. So, hopefully, again, the biggest reason why we wanted to bring it up is never to fear monger, but to look at, hey, is my career or my skill set at risk? If it is, what are some of the things I can learn or do better to improve myself, to make myself even more valuable, right? As Jeremiah was saying. So that's pretty much it for today. Jeremiah, do you have anything else before we get out of here?
No, I'm actually super curious for people to drop their profession down in the comments and let us know if you see your profession is going to get replaced and maybe what your plan is. Maybe give us plan A of what you would
For
do
sure.
if your profession got replaced.
100%, 100%. Definitely leave that down in the comment section down below. And if you guys enjoyed this episode or learned anything from this episode, go ahead and please share this with one other person. And it's the Light Wealth family. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Peace, guys.